Hello, this is Justice Baxter Man. Welcome back to God, Guns, Gaming, and GOP. Now, today I will be talking about, well, I'm going to be talking about, just first, if you have any kids in the area, you might want to think twice before, letting them listen to this, because it's not really for kids. I'm going to be talking about the question of whether or not homosexuality is immoral. So, basically, what occurred to me is that if it is morally acceptable, then it should be morally acceptable for homosexuals to adopt and raise kids. And in order for it to be morally acceptable for them to adopt and raise kids, they must be able to model for said kids what those kids need to learn to become parents. Now, like as not, those kids will naturally be straight, just because that's what the vast majority of anybody is. And so if their kids are straight, then they will have to be able to model to their kids how to become or how to be straight parents. And therefore it should not be considered morally acceptable, because they can't do that. They can't model something that they're not. So it should not be acceptable. It should not be considered morally acceptable for them to adopt kids, and therefore homosexuality should not be considered morally acceptable. Now let's come at this from another angle. If homosexuality is morally acceptable, then it should be something that born gay kids should be able to have modeled for them by their parents, by their biological parents. And obviously, their biological parents are going to be straight, because that's kind of how it works. So, in order for the biological parents to exhibit or to be able to model a homosexual lifestyle, they must be able to exhibit that, and which is biologically incongruent with the starting premise of them being the biological parents. Therefore, I conclude that homosexuality is not morally acceptable and is an aspect of our fallen nature, and it should be overcome. It should be a thing that should be overcome by those who struggle with it. But you may say, it takes a village to raise a child. There's gonna be homosexuals in the village or in the society. Other couples could be the role model these kids need. So, first of all, that saying simply means that everyone in the community has an impact on how the child will turn out. Okay, here, let me ask you this. Who was a greater role model for you growing up? Your parents or your best friend's parents? Like, every single one of you probably is going to say your parents, because that's obviously who you spent a lot more time with. So you see, family is the building block, is the natural building block of community. It's the natural institution for raising moral children. And community is important, but family is more important. I rest my case.